Hello, my YouTube people. Well, in true Mercury retrograde fashion, it has taken me 48 minutes to get to start the video, and the sound is still gonna suck because I tried a million different ways to not hear the semi that's outside in the parking lot. But I did my best to minimize it. I tried a fucking microphone, I tried the headset, I tried everything. And the lighting still sucks. But I actually had to play with it to get it to suck this bad. So imagine how badly it would have been if I wouldn't have. So this video, I am hoping to not fuck anything up, and I'm trying to imagine it in order so I make sure that I get everything that I want to say when it comes to this topic. It's a topic, I've done a blog post about this quite a few years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer. But I don't think I've ever done a video about this. And I just felt like now was a good time to do it. And I've had a lot of people in my comment section and in Little Red's chat talking about how they're just now starting out in paganism, or they're interested in paganism, or they just want to learn some shit. And I thought maybe this would be a nice little video to kind of, I don't know, introduce people to the concept of magic, because I think maybe if you're coming from like a Judeo-Christian background, the two most startling things are probably going to be worshiping a goddess and practicing magic. And because of Mary, you know, the first goddess I ever worshipped, I'm telling you, if I would have been Catholic, I may have never converted. Thank the goddess I was Pentecostal. Anyway, because of Mary, there is a little bit of a familiarity with kind of looking at the mother goddess anyway as a goddess type figure. Although Mary is not worshipped anywhere but in Catholicism, she is kind of like that figure. And so that might not be nearly as startling as the concept that magic is real, magic is quite possible, you can do it, I can do it, my 4-year-old could probably do it. She tries all the time. That kid has never seen me do anything when it comes to magic, ever. I do all my shit, my rituals, everything, when she's asleep. But since she was 2 years old, she's tried to make potions, and she even does the hand thing, right? Which is really weird, because she's never seen me do that. So, yeah, and she might actually nail it. Hell, a child probably would have better luck than you or me, because children believe completely. They don't need any type of mind fuckery to get themselves to believe that their little spells or their little wishes or whatever will come true, because they just believe. And that's really 99% of the process when it comes to spells and magic. And how do I put this? To me, and I've had witches get pissed off at me for this analogy. I can't help it. Well, I've had witches get pissed off at me because I have compared witchcraft with science. Can't help it. To me, I always thought the best analogy when it came to doing a spell was baking a cake. The only difference in the spell and the cake is that you have to have the ingredients to make the spell. Whereas with a cake, or you have to have the ingredients to bake the cake. With the spell, the most important part is you, your intention, your energy, your focus. And you can have the most expensive witchy tools. I know I've talked about this before. You can have every expensive fucking witchy tool in the little witchy shop. But if you do not believe that your spell is going to work, and if you do not find that place inside of yourself where you can truly set that intention and be like, all right, I can see it. This is how it's going to be. That type deal. Those expensive tools will do you no fucking good. That is the most important and sometimes the hardest part of it. Also, if you're poor and you can't afford those expensive witchy tools, that's alright, because you can practice magic with nothing. Prayer, Christian prayer, is akin to magic, because it is the belief that this thing is going to happen, this thing is going to change, God or what have you is going to turn this situation around for you. That there's really not much difference in that aspect. The correspondences, or the herbs and stones and the way that we work with the planets and the moon and all of that, well, the moon and the planets, in my opinion, especially the moon. Now, okay, hang on a second. Let me get to the first point before I jump to the second point. The moon is not so much a correspondent as it will affect your spell a lot of the times, whether or not you're working with it, and you would rather be working with it than working against it. For instance, trying to start a new company doing magic when it's the waning moon, you're just making it harder on yourself than it needs to be a lot of the time. The only exception to that is when you feel a very, very powerful urge to do the spell. Because I have had times when the moon wasn't right, the day wasn't right, I didn't have anything but a damn candle to work with, but I felt like I have to do this spell right now. And I've done it, and it worked just fine. So, you can work against the moon and have it work, but 9 times out of 10, that's going to make shit harder on yourself. And you don't want to do that. Why? Life is hard enough. So, let's go step by step here. With the moon, and I'm sure I've talked about this before, the waxing moon, the time between the new moon and the full moon, that is the time for new beginnings. That is when you want to do magic or prayers or visualizations pertaining to starting something new, growing something you've already got going on that you would like to further expand, and things of that nature. And then you go to the full moon, which is kind of like the harvest of moon cycles. You are being thankful for the gifts or the situations or people or whatever that you have been given during that moon phase, the last 28 days, and you're really just kind of reflecting on the rewards you've reaped and what you would like to continue to grow into the next 28 days. You don't necessarily do magic for that, although the full moon is, of course, a very powerful time, and you can do that. With the waning moon, or the time between the full moon and the next new moon, you want to do banishings. You want to do protection. These things are all good for that time period. You do yourself a banishing ritual on a Saturday night during the waning moon, and you're good to go. That's another thing. We work with days of the week. Each day has a correlation. Like Monday is the day that you would use if you wanted to do anything pertaining to motherhood or mother energy, which would also include creation of any kind. If you want to start a new book, if you want to start a new painting, whatever, Monday is a good day for that. Now, off the top of my head, I'm not as good with days as I am with the moon, so don't judge me. Tuesday, I believe that Tuesday and Thursday are supposed to be like the best days to work with if you are trying to grow something to do with business or finances, if I'm not mistaken. If any of y'all know that I fucked that up, please leave it in the comments. Correct your girl. 22 years, and I still fuck things up because that's how it goes in the craft. Wednesday is about communication or travel or anything to do with communication, travel, any of that. Which, of course, always includes technology. Whenever communication is involved, technology follows. Friday is Freya's Day, and as such, it is a day to do love magic, not on a specific person. See my video about the craft, y'all. Don't be doing that shit. But if you want to draw even friendship, love, any type of love into your life, or strengthen the love that you have, or anything like that, Friday is your day for that. Saturday, as I've said, banishings, and Sunday is the day to do spells pertaining to success, or to do spells that you need like immediate success in as soon as possible type deal, because Sunday is the day of success. Okay, so we've done moon days. Stones. And by the way that these stones, herbs, things of that nature, candle collars, work, in theory, is by, okay, science tells us that there are billions of little particles of energy. Everything's made of energy, but all of us in this, I believe it's the whole universe. I don't think it's the planet, but I could be wrong about that too. It's either the planet or the universe. All of us take up only 6% of the entire energy that's on the planet. So therefore, there, in theory, we know this part, are billions and billions of little particles of energy floating around that, in theory, have no job. So when you get a stone and you get a certain set of herbs and you have a candle and you charge all of these things, you are taking that energy that had no job before and you are directing it into something to make a whole. That's why I say that about baking a cake, because each little piece makes up the whole. And the way that it works, the way that it's powered, that type of thing, is thanks to the billions of particles of energy that at any time are floating around and have no job. What you are doing is you are using your focus and your intent, and Zeus, come on, man, and the law of attraction and things of that nature to attract what it is that you are doing the spell for. So that is the scientific. Zeus, really? You have to sneeze right now, bud. Between the dogs and the kid, I'm telling y'all what. Anyway, just like with Zeus, please stop. Just like with the days of the week, each planet also has its corresponding energies that go with it. And the thing about a retrograde, Mercury retrogrades, they're such a pain in the ass because, one, they come more often than any other retro, and two, they fuck up everything, because Mercury rules communication, and it rules technology, so your phones, your computers. I always felt like, because Mercury is also the god of travel, and I know because his Greek counterpart, whom he was stolen from, let's be real, Hermes came first, he is also the god of travel. So I have also always felt like a Mercury retrograde can pertain to travel as well. A retrograde, by the way, no, the planet is not actually backpedaling through the universe. It is only an optical illusion. But it just as the full moon is not, like the moon itself does not expand, it looks that way in relation to where we are on Earth. it's that same type of deal. And just as the full moon has its power to pull the tides and the lakes and all of that and create bigger tides because of its pull on it, so it is that Mercury retrograde, according to the whole theory behind energy and how everything is energy and all that good shit, the energy of Mercury, which again, communication, which includes technology, so your phone could break, your computer could break, good luck live streaming, it's going to take a while. But it's not all bad, because if you are looking at all to hear from someone from your past, Mercury retros are a time when that will happen. People you have not talked to in 10 years will pop up. Or if you are not a social butterfly like yours truly, I have noticed that Mercury retrogrades are a time when I tend to talk to people more. I guess because normally that's not my communication style. So that's my personal experience with that. But yeah, so the way that all this stuff works is really quite simple. It seems complicated, but it's really simple. It all has to do with energy. Each stone, and I tend to believe the ancestors who studied this shit for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years to come up with these correlations. And yes, I will give you a lot of the time, different traditions had different corresponding traits that went with different things. Like an herb could mean marriage and childbirth in this tradition, and actually in this tradition they viewed it as an herb related to death. Like that did happen all the time. But I still tend to believe the people who, studied this shit nonstop and who relied upon it literally to live sometimes when it came to herbs and stones. They use stones a lot of the time to heal. And, yeah. I think that one of the greatest fucking tragedies of the scientific revolution that we saw in Europe around the 17th to 18th centuries was the fact that when they got rid of superstitions, they also got rid of folk magic, or tried to. Clearly they didn't. And anything to do with magic was labeled superstitious and nonsense, and you couldn't believe in science and magic. Even though, no, my gods, I absolutely cannot scientifically prove they exist any more than I can prove that Jesus exists. So in terms of the deities themselves, when it comes to paganism and witchcraft, can't prove a damn thing. But when it comes to the magic, the part people scoff at the most, there is a lot of scientific theory to back that up, how that would work. Once you understand how it works, just handing somebody who just came out of a Judeo-Christian background and who's never thought about magic, a stone, a candle, and a damn herb, and being like, well, here you go, that's all you need, and walking away, that's clearly not going to work. There's something else. There was one other. See, I knew I was going to do this. I knew that I should have made fucking bulleted points. But no, your girl thought she was going to be slick. Like, oh no, surely I'll remember all this. My God, I've done it for years. See what you get for being cocky? Exactly. Let's see, we went through. Damn it, and it was right on the tip of my brain. When you have it right there, but it don't make its way here. Well, shit. I think I lost it, folks. I think it's gone. We did the moon, we did stones. Yeah, the stones, herbs, candles, they all work the same way. The seasons. We also work with the seasons. This is more true with our rituals, But you can also use the season to aid you in magic. Like right now, we are in the fall. So right now is a good time to start doing magic pertaining to things that you have grown, metaphorically speaking, since last midwinter or spring. It's about harvesting, and it's also about prosperity and abundance. So these are the energies that you can call in because they are more plentiful right now. That was such a South End sentence. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm tired. But yeah, each season has its corresponding things. Like fall, the element that is supposed to rule fall is water, and fall, as I said, I've already named the corresponding energies with that. But when it comes to the seasons, and you'll find this is true also a lot of the times of stones and herbs, the like you can see how they can, like winter, for instance. The season of winter is about going inside yourself, studying, learning, thinking about what you're going to want to plant or start or grow come springtime. Spring, of course, is the growth period where you start your projects or you continue on with projects that you ended last season, last fall. Summer is all about just fire, creativity, passion, that sort of energy, and it's probably the funnest of the seasons in terms of its energy. But you see that all around you during these times. You see the harvest. You see how they got the concept of going inside because our ancestors in the deepest, darkest parts of winter, that is what they did. They literally went inside. They were only outside if they had to be. A lot of the times they would have traveling bards that would come through and they would basically feed and shelter the bards in return for stories because like that was their entertainment. And when I think about that, I could go insane. Thinking about being in one of their little huts and being bunkered down with everybody for an entire season. I mean, I basically do that now, but without the traveling bards. But hell, I have y'all. I have the internet. So yeah, you can also work with the seasons. But just like when it comes to reincarnation, okay, no, I cannot prove to you beyond my own experiences and what I myself remember that reincarnation exists. No more than you can prove that you're going to go to heaven. Because we're clearly still breathing. We have our experiences and our belief, which belief is a very fucking powerful thing. Let's get that straight too. You take away the tried and true, oh, this corresponds to this, blah, blah, blah. Just believing is very, very powerful shit. But that can also work against you too. Because if you believe that you don't deserve this, or this, and believe it or not, you can have those feelings on a subconscious level and not even know it and be blocking yourself and, yeah, not know until it comes out in therapy or in journaling or whatever. But belief is very powerful. Like, I don't turn my nose up at that. But I have no concrete proof to give you to be like, this is how you'll know reincarnation actually exists. However, all you have to do, in my opinion, is look at nature. There's the spring, birth, summer, life, fall, or no, shit, I fucked that up. Birth, life, death, rebirth. No, I didn't. Okay. Spring is birth. Summer's life. Fall is death. Winter starts the process of the rebirth, because on the winter solstice, the sun returns every single day, though you don't notice it until about late February, early March here. But every day, the sun is there for a little longer and a little longer and a little longer until it builds up to what we see on the spring equinox. So, you can see it in nature. And then what happens? In the fall, all the leaves fall to the ground, right? And if you leave them alone and you let them just sit there, they break down and they provide nutrients to the soil that then will provide nutrients to the tree that the leaves came from to begin with. You see what I mean? Like, all around us, there is birth, life, death, and rebirth. Nature wastes nothing. This universe, from what I have seen, in my opinion, wastes nothing. So I find it very hard to believe that any god of any kind would make a soul, send it to earth, and then that's it. You go to heaven, you're never in use again, because that's just not what we see around us. And however, I also do not mock or act like, oh, well, you're an idiot because you believe in heaven. Because, don't get me wrong, I don't think those of you who believe in heaven are wrong either. I think that we're both right, if that makes sense. I think you go to heaven before you are reincarnated. And even if I didn't think that, again, I have no concrete proof of anything. So for all I know, you're right, and I'm going to hell, and that's really gonna suck. Unless that really is where all the cool people are, which would be like Morrison and, you know, all the cool people. I might be okay with that. See, I can joke about that, because I don't believe in hell. I do believe that if you think intensely enough that you are going to go to a place like hell, you may not have a very fun time when you first die, because I do think it's possible to create such an afterworld for yourself. But that's, now I've gone off in a totally different direction. Anyway, the science, or the possible science behind spells, all relates to energy. Again, each herb, each stone, each candle color is associated with a certain energy. And when you put all of these things together, especially if you're lucky enough to be able to do it when the moon is right, on the right day, and not during a retrograde, if you're starting anything pertaining to, like, I would not, if I were you, be starting a podcast right now, for instance. Not a good time for it. Wait till that shit goes direct. About 4 weeks. You got about 4 weeks. It's just a pro tip. I'll also expect a lot of arguments. Like, just complete miscommunication on the way around. You send a letter out and it doesn't get to where you were sending it. All that good jazz. Anyway, you send a email and it gets lost and the person finds it 3 months from now, if at all. That type gig. Expect all of that. But you put all of these things together that all have a correlating energy. And then you basically call upon that energy and fuse it into your tools, your candles, herbs, stones. And what you are doing is you are basically adding lighter fluid to a fire that's already there. Your intent is the fire, but you add these other things and you can strengthen that energy to draw more towards you, if that makes sense. I'm trying to put this as easy as possible because I understand that to a lot of people, the entire concept of magic is very, very real. Sounds fucking insane. Okay, but I promise it's not. Yeah. So there's the science behind that good stuff. I love you guys, and thank you to all my new subscribers, and thank you bunches to those of you who have been with me for a long, long time and went through my dry patches with me. All of that. I love you all. Good night.